Back to your daily dose. My name is Robert here with my pal Susan. We've been doing some really evolutionary, revolutionary, yes and exercise doses today, talking about our roots, where we're at, the nature of success stories, how we use improv and cinema therapy to bear these forward. We have a project going on right now that is part of our sustainer circle, which we are putting forward to show people who and what we are, called a success stories calendar. And in that, you are one of the success stories, and the foundational one is Boys of Summer. That's kind of, as I say, the reason for the season. You know, Dad being diagnosed in 2001, us going on this journey in 2004, and what it's evolved into, because it's certainly I wasn't thinking in 2004 I'm going to make 4 or 5 of these films and get a PhD, and that none of that was in front of me.
No, not on the table. Yeah.
So yeah, but now it is, and that's part of the journey, and there's many reasons why. So to that end, there's a new trailer coming from Boys of Summer Third Base, which is the 4th film, and we're going to go ahead and show that trailer and then talk about that and where that is and why it's the original, or some of the original success story. Here we go. When my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's, we knew we had to get going.
And with 3 little words we learned to accept.
Yes, we hit all 30 major league ballparks, but the real journey was everything that followed.
We've been way too quiet for way too long. If we continue to remain silent, Parkinson's will continue to be the fastest growing brain disease.
So we decided, let's fight back. 7 scary words. I don't know what's about to happen. Woo!
It's the hero's journey.
And the big takeaway was the power of love.
We change behaviors more often through story than anything else.
It showed that, yeah, I don't know what's coming, but I can still jump in.
Because it's all going to hell, and I love you. Yes, it's all going to hell, and I love you.
That's the trailer right there. So what do you feel, Susan?
I have to tell you what struck me the most powerfully, Robert. This may surprise you, but at the beginning, you say, and it's the tone in your voice, you say, yeah, we went to all 30 major baseball parks. And what you say after that's really important. The tone of the first part of that. Yeah, we did that, but it wasn't about that.
Mm.
It's like, that's a huge thing that you guys did, and you just kind of put it over here and said, but what really counts is what followed.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful. So your story is a long-term story, and I think it's just turned out to be brilliant that you did do multiple documentaries. You had too much material, I guess, just for the first one. Am I right that you mapped out 5 from the once you realized it wasn't going to be one? That
Well, I mean, I could probably go back on my notes and see. I mean, the second one came about because people were asking me that the film. I was in grad school for my master's program, and one of the things was I was tinkering with YouTube, and so Boys of Summer, I screened it for the university. And my professors went crazy for it. Wow, this is really great. And it was this enigma of a film, because like, God, it's got all this great reviews, but I don't know why it never really did more. Like, people loved it, but it never, like, for instance, like the Michael J. Fox Foundation, who, they're in it, right? Debbie Brooks interviewing her in there. It's like, they didn't do what I asked them to do, which is take the film and make a ton of money on this, exploit it, right? But they never did it. I go, I don't get it. And I know the film works. So what people when people kept asking when I put it on YouTube, all of a sudden, I mean, it exploded to like 40,000 views in a pretty short period of time. And I was, had done enough research about viral stuff to go, okay, I'm going to pull this off because I think there may be some way to do something with this. I don't mean money really, although it could be part of it. It's more of like maybe a distributor, because that's always what I wanted, was an actual distributor, get it out there formally. And people are asking the comments section, how's your dad? How's your dad? And that led me to, ask and then start really poking and hey, Dad, what do you think about a second film? And now I'm a dad. So there's story elements here. I wasn't thinking about 5 films. No, it was a second film. What was surprising after putting out the second film, well, it was surprising in the second film that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were just going to go to like ballparks again, but Dad's health was more compromised than I thought. I was like, oh yeah, and having kids at that, it's a lot more stuff going on. It's just like, yeah, I can't just pick up and go, and Dad certainly can't. So yeah, life's different. We got to tell the story we can tell. So it's a
Yeah.
very second base, a very different one. But when we screened it, it got such a big reaction, and people talking about, you're doing something important for the Parkinson's community. The first film was like, good for you guys, and I think I told you before, part of that bothered me. It's like, well, this should be good for us, but I see it's largely Dad and I go on this road trip, but I mean, it's supposed to be symbolic, it's supposed to be, but okay, you're saying good for us, fine. But the second one, people said, you're doing things for the care partner community. And there was that term, I had even a care partner. I'm a care partner, son. But you're asking questions. You're helping us know how to talk to people. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was a needed skill. I didn't realize that was a missing thing in the community. So that mapped forward the exploration to say, maybe, again, I wasn't thinking 5 yet, but the second film, as I was branding it, it's like, oh, well, second film, second base. So immediately,
Yeah.
well, if I've gone to second base, what's next? And, the obvious term would be go to third, but the way the third film came about, it was necessarily a little shorter because I made it during first year of my PhD program, stuff going all over the place, but I had enough info where like, yeah, I just got to get this out. So short stop, right? And now it's like, okay,
Oh, yeah, but I love shortstop.
right.
There's nothing like small about it. I love it.
No. But time wise, like the first films reach 90 minutes, the third one is 51 minutes. And I think from just a critical response, the third film is the most popular because it keeps growing. I'll be interested, does the fourth film become the most, because it grows too. But what became clear there too, as I was doing research, was the 5 stages through the Hoehn-Yahr scale of Parkinson's, right? And I know it's kind of an old scale, but it still exists, right? Stages 1 through 5 of someone's life journey. And I was like, with Parkinson's. And I said, well, I can mirror that. I can yes and that. So that became the form. And that's why, yeah, I mean, in theory, the idea is still, I love the idea of the fifth film being, this one's third base, and the fifth one would be Safe at Home. And I've written the song for it. I hope Will and I may record that song sooner than later, because I just love the song. Wrote it years ago, and it's such a beautiful song that it could well preclude the fifth film and still be part of the universe. So yeah,
Does it have a title you want to share?
that's it. Boys of Summer, Safe at Home. Yeah,
No, the song.
the song is Safe at Home. Yeah.
Oh, the song is so.
Yeah, no, it's I love it. It's really, really, it's beautiful. And yeah, I mean, Will and I have a lot of work to do. Will, who I'm so glad for in that trailer, he to me serves like the conductor of the train. His songs and the way I got him to, and it wasn't hard to get him to just look into the camera
He
and
looks so
silence.
joyful. I love that he's looking like a little mischievous and happy.
Yeah, his first take wasn't exactly like that. I said, I need you. Because he's, here he is, a stage guy. He gets it. He knows what presentation is. But his first one was just kind of singing, looking this way. I go, Will, the audience needs you, because,
Oh, it works. Thank
right?
you, Will. Thanks for
Yeah.
listening to Robert.
And he talks about what I love about that. Will's done all the score for all of my documentaries, not just The Boys of Summer, but the 4 other ones as well. And he, one of the great things is, early on, it was like, geez, he's doing me a favor. Here's, he's a pro and that and the other. But as our relationship is engaged, he's just made it very clear. It's like, Bob, brother Bob, he calls me. And I call him brother Will. Brother Bob, you're doing me a favor. And really, what he didn't have on his card that has evolved, now he's a professor at UT Arlington, leading the film scoring division based largely on the films that he scored of mine. I mean, that's 90%
Film
of his
scoring
resume,
division. Thank you, Boys of Summer.
right?
Wow.
Yeah, that plus the other ones. But
Plus
yeah,
the other ones.
so it provided value and meaning and got him indoors. And so I couldn't be happier. So yeah, that again, our relationship continues to grow. But that song in particular, It's All Going to Hell and I Love You, it is such an important song. It fits so much of the theme and the motif. And when I gave it to Will, and our process goes back and forth a little bit, it didn't take a lot with that. He brought so much of his joy and beauty to it because I think it's a song you could get wrong very easily. I think it could be performed and messed up, not, but he got that combination of the silliness of something like Spam a Lot, right? Um, Always look on the bright side of life with the heart and warmth of Mr. Rogers
Mhm.
and maybe a little Randy Newman there in the middle, and he
Was that
brought.
all him, or did you guide him in terms
Oh,
of
I wrote
choosing?
it. I wrote it. I gave the chords. I sang it. But it's like this isn't my song. I know that. There's certain songs that are mine, but that wasn't mine. And what happened in that song, I had the beginning of it for sure. Um, what I had was It's All Going to Hell and I Love You. That's what I had, right? Because I had the theme of It's All Going to Hell from the Demoralization, Bradley McDaniel's great work, right? And that just fits the film, right? Bringing that forward. But the knowing that I planted the seed of love earlier to yes, and It's All Going to Hell, to accept that, and I love you, that became the brilliance. That became, oh
It
yeah,
is,
we're going to
yeah.
hold that.
There's nothing like that in
That
the world. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I had that, and he loved it, and so and I loved the opening of the song. We reached into our hero's journey, unsuccessful, maybe, but no one left on a gurney. It's I love that. Because the audience ask of the beginning of the film is we're going to find a cure for Parkinson's. Well, we didn't. But unsuccessful, maybe. Okay, we're going to throw that out there. But hey, nobody died.
No gurneys involved.
Yeah. And then, leading into it's all going to hell and I love you. He loved that. And that's what I had. And then he sang that, he gave it to me. He said, do you want a tag? And I went, oh, an ending to this. And I go, oh, because I kind of just thought it was going to, just ring out. It's all going to hell and I love you. And it's so great. But he said, I think there's something else. And I went, oh, and again, here was just the beauty of Brother Will. He didn't try to tell me what it was. He said, no, there's something else. And I went, oh. So I went back, and I kid you not, in just a couple minutes, came up with those closing lyrics, and it just, it just, they're some of my favorite, because they turn that moment. It's called an inversion, where you take a piece of a chord and you play its opposite on the tonal scale. Pardon if I'm not saying the musical terms exactly right, but I know what it means. It's how you find like bridges and things like that. You take the established thing and you flip it, right? And you're in the same space. But when that came forward, that part, and I'm trying to find the lyrics in my head right now, but it just it resolved, and that's what a great song or a great piece of art does. It resolves the tension, right? And in an unbelievably satisfying way. And that's what the end of that song does. And I'm gonna have to.
We're gonna have to find it.
Yeah, no, I will. But give me you hear about the process of that. What does that sound like to you when you hear me talking about that relationship with Will? And does it feel right in terms of what comes across for your experience of even that, 82-second trailer?
Uh, Having the knowledge now that he has been involved from the beginning,
Yeah.
from the maybe even some films before the Boys of
No, the first one was the first Boys of Summer, but yeah.
It was okay, yeah. Um, there's a like a a depth, like a historical legitimizing to it that has a lot of weight. It carries a lot of truth
Yeah.
that that he and you who wrote together feel. No, you know the truth of those lyrics. You
Yeah.
lived the truth of those lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and like you say, it's one of those creative relationships that's really, really cool because it is something where we just we sit and we wait and we allow for the silence between each other.
Do you? Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
the
go ahead.
lyric itself, I mean, it's just there's such a irony and humor and truth and scariness and
Yeah, so here's the lyrics. I pulled them.
oh
The
good.
beginning, I orphaned that one line in the beginning of this trailer, which I really liked. And with three little words, we learn to accept. And I don't even need to fill that in. I think there's enough people tend to know three little words are talking about I love you. So you just, you leave that out there. And then it resolves that, of course, later in the trailer. But just grabbing that for the setup, right? Um, and with three little words, we learn to accept that things can feel bad, but still our hope is kept intact. And I love that hanging poetry, right? That accept and kept are the rhymes, and there are elliptical,
Yeah.
intact. That's lovely tension, right? And then
Yeah.
comes the rush and the give because, right, it's all going to hell. And now here's the closing. This is the resolution. And this is what Will asked me for. It's gosh, 15 words or so, but I love it. When things are the worst, sometimes the best is waiting around the corner. It's a mess. Yes. And I love you. And those are some of my favorite lyrics I've ever written. And I've written, hundreds of songs, really have. Um, that it's the lyrical play and the way the rhyme structure again bends, when
It's
things are the worst, sometimes the best is way. I mean, that we're talking about the theme of hope, which you know what that means to me, right? It's everything, right? Is waiting around the corner, and then the acceptance. It's a mess. Just because hope is perhaps around the corner. The acceptance is so important. It's a mess. Yes,
yes.
and you get that and because you accepted the yes and the mess,
That's so
right?
awesome, Robert.
So really love comes from the acceptance of the things that are a mess in our lives, right? Love and that's the message for the Parkinson's community. When we talk about trying to be brave in these spaces, we need to accept the mess and not be presentational for the approval of a doctor or a family member or a job. We need to accept the mess. It doesn't mean just putting it out there totally going, yeah, screw everything. It's not that either. It's the creative and practical tension of it's a mess, yes, and
Oh,
right. That's the need is to hold those two difficult, maybe divergent spaces together.
oh, it's just beautiful. And we just hear it that one time at the end of the song.
And again, it was, Will just said, yeah, it needs something. God bless him. I was like, oh, you're right. It does, doesn't
But
it? I didn't
little
know
did
it.
you know it was going to end up being some of your favorite lyrics of all time.
Yeah, it poured right out of me because of
Did it? Awesome.
as difficult as that probably, I want to say 2.5, 3 weeks were of the editing that was going into the presentation before we even gave the presentation, right? The mid-September to October 2nd or 3rd, piece. It was excellent in terms of my focus and my energy. I really did a lot of great work. It was extraordinarily uncomfortable. It was painful. It was difficult. And yet
Getting it done or not engaging with the difficult part was just
getting
letting
it done, knowing the deadline was there. And what I needed to get to, because October 3rd was the immovable force. That's happening, right? And I needed to have something. I needed to, the gift I gave myself was, this isn't going to be perfect. Just know, keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
To not get down on any one thing and say, I have to perfect. Nope, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a lot of imperfect that's going to speak toward a larger themes. Those things are going to be well. And you're going to do things on October 3rd that won't work. And I did. And guess what? You're going to have the power to edit those things out and or create new things to fill in for them or remix them.
Awesome. I mean, long-term courage, vision, forgiveness in advance. I mean, that was you're right. That was a gift that you gave yourself.
Well, and part of the reason, part of the way to cut through a lot of things, not just for October 3rd, but even in the edit since, was by having a partner in will. I mean, the section that bothered me most in the film was the middle section where I was kind of flashing back to tell the PhD story. I knew the setup worked. I knew the resolution stuff of me and dad in baseball and, Giuseppe throwing the first pitch and ultimately graduating and the runs. All of that was going to work. But I knew I needed to tell the tension and difficulty of this PhD stuff with really no footage. I kind of have to just tell the story in an engaging way. And a lot of it in the presentation didn't feel great. And I knew it didn't. And I cut a lot of it out. However, I kept the context or the content and used things like Will's music, like the Mentors commercials, right? To quickly get into those types of things, like the breaking news form, right? To quickly, show elements that were happening, right? Because me standing up there on stage naked and alone,
Yeah.
I mean, I could feel it. You guys were with me, but it wasn't the same as the other stuff. It didn't, it's like I'm talking. It's the talking instead of showing, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it needed to be redone, and still a lot of things still do need to be redone, but it's
Great
the rough cut.
perspective, though. It was wise and courageous of you to be critical of yourself in that way and to try to come up with some other creative application or out manifestations of that section of the story.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I wasn't for sure what would work or wouldn't work. This is the old classic. The audience will tell you. They'll tell you the truth, and that was a good audience. They were fair and they were with it. And if things weren't working with that audience, they weren't working. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to say they didn't get it. No, if they didn't work with them, they're gone, right? Because that audience cared. They were a loving audience. They were very respectful.
So everybody but me was happy with the pigeon joke.
I mean, watching it ostensibly, listening to the crowd, they laughed. There's no better metric than that. If it had really the joke that I loved and I felt better about, I felt fine about the pigeon joke. I didn't deliver it perfectly, but it was good enough. But the face rings a bell. That one got less of a laugh, But
No comparison to me.
I know. And again, look, there's tastes and there's everything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, the audience tells the truth. The pigeon joke got a good laugh. It really did. And I was like, oh, so, and there were jokes that worked that didn't make it either. Like those 3 silly jokes I did to start the show off, but they were slowing the story down, right? I mean, especially like the joke about the Giants sitting at home watching the World Series. I mean, that crushed, but it didn't fit, So you have to do what works,
Well, and it's great that it was filming that was then going to be chopped up and used and put in where you wanted it. It wasn't intended to be a start to finish thing.
That's right. That's right. And I know, I mean, as we know, because of how truncated it was, even people who came into the theater that night, some people were like, what are we doing here? It's like, don't worry, just trust me. Come on. Like, good, you're here. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all of it worked. And again, that secondary part you mentioned was there's a 17-day window from October 3rd to the 20th, many of which were taken up by other things to make that available for the World Parkinson's Congress. I mean, I really want to get back to it, but I'm also still trying to give myself just a little more space before I do.
That's probably lucky and wise.
Yeah.
I think you'll respond to it a little more cleanly.
Yeah.
with enough time going by.
Well, and I did see at least the first hour of it the other night when my sister was in town just to show her. So, and I was enjoying it then and doing what I always do in my mind, going, oh, change that, edit that, that's there, you know. So, yeah, the further I get from it, the better. But I know, like I said, Will's available. He's had some stuff he needed to do, like he's up for tenure and things like that.
Oh,
He's
wow.
to going forward. And also the good news is the trailer, which you all just saw, is there. And we also have that poker tournament, which I want to make sure everybody knows about, coming up, a virtual poker tournament with my dad that is a fundraiser for this film because, yeah, we need practical funds to get those things to happen, a proper sound mix, some animation. I know things I want to do, they're going to cost a little bit. And ultimately get that film to Phoenix in late May of 2026. Hopefully as part of the World Parkinson Congress, but if they choose not to, it'll still screen there just down the street at an AMC theater.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome.
Hopefully it'll be both, but either way, it's gonna have its premiere in late May of 2026, and yeah, so we you know
Question:
yeah.
are we going to talk about Dad Was Here, or is that a separate dose?
No, we can, but I just let me close the loop on what I was saying
Oh,
there
I'm
and
sorry.
go into that. Say success stories. The reason what we're doing with Yaks, Boys of Summer is the first success story, and it is, this calendar that I hope all of you will sign up to be sustaining members for. Is the 2026 success story calendar, and it incorporates Susan's story, it incorporates Boys of Summer and Matthew and Karen and Sharon and Daryl and Tom and so many others that we have involved, Doris and BJ. Yeah, they're all going to be part of this great story that month by month feature, something we did and
Yeah.
and show the larger value of storytelling, success storytelling, where we separate because there's the trademark, right? Where, a lot of people talk about storytelling, but tell us your story or even a general workshop that's based on personal narrative. It's just not what we do.
Mhm.
It's so much more. And I'm not trying to say better. It's a different dynamic. The idea of,
Individual, we're very much honored as individuals, no matter what story we're telling.
expansively honored, not, and this is the problem with, I think, a lot of storytelling and what we've seen through evidence of where people got stuck, right? If they're stuck telling their story, which is the typical ask, right? What happened when you got diagnosed? What did you go through? Remember those first two sessions of day one, as it were? Many people they'd get to about crossing the threshold and be like, I don't know, I don't like, or I don't want to tell this story, right?
I don't
It,
want to go
it,
back there. I don't want to.
yeah, it lost, the if you don't have the energy to write it, you're not going to write it. And it doesn't matter how much I put in front of you, you don't want to, you're not gonna. So how do we make it interesting? Make it about somebody else and have them do things that are genuinely interesting to you. Put them in a place that's genuinely interesting to you. Raise the stakes on them in ways that you wouldn't want to go through, but boy, it's interesting to have them go through it. We're invoking all the things we naturally know about storytelling and giving you the keys to that kingdom.
Yeah, and what I'm discovering as a new fiction writer is how much crazy creative notions come into my head. And then what I really value as a student of yours is to have you catch me when I've gone too far without enough building it to make it make sense, or when I've done the opposite, when I've put too much in there that's kind of not necessary, to keep that aesthetic, tension. And yeah, I mean, it did occur to me after one of our conversations that if I was walking along a mountain foothills trail and I saw something that kind of looked like an egg and I brought it home and stuck it under my butterfly bush, and then a dragon hatched out of it, what I wrote to begin with was like that was like having a puppy.
Yeah.
And you helped point out to me that the dragons they have a certain kind of reputation and they grow really big. I was like, oh, I
Not
never
only
figured
that,
that out. I need to
but
investigate.
yeah, the idea of it, this foreign thing, recognizing the alien nature, which is a great human quality. Whenever we deal with something alien, there's going to be fear. That's not judgmental. There's just going to be fear with something we don't understand. And a dragon, there's no context for it. So of course it's scary. And then the power with which that alien enforces its love on Ellie, that's not just, oh, great. Jesus, no.
But I didn't do that to start with, right?
Right.
I just went straight to the love part.
Yay.
And then once I started looking at Talk being protective and
Right.
worried about this thing growing really big, and Ellie's concern being more than just a mother, that it was, wait a minute, to a dragon? What do I know about that? Well, it turns out that the journals that she found had some information in them. So,
Right. No, there's all that. And again, from a mythical standpoint, choosing a dragon is such a beautiful thing because, dragons have incredible value in our psyche. The idea of these flying, flame throwing, wise and powerful and dangerous beings, right?
is this dangerous? Does he look dangerous?
Well, I mean, maybe not him, but it's kind of like any wild animal, right? It's like when we hold up the cute tiger cub and go, "Are you kidding me?" But
That's a
the
great
tiger
example.
cub,
That's a great analogy.
I
Yeah.
mean, wouldn't you love to hold a full-grown tiger? Wouldn't you love to just put your arms around that damn thing? It's the most beautiful animal.
Yes.
It'd eat you. It would rip you to shreds.
Right. Right. You got to be realistic about that.
Right. I mean, it's funny. You mentioned the dog thing where Anna Maria and my wife and I were talking about this the other day. Like she was saying, I think Stella's made friends with the chipmunks. And I go, I know that you'd like to think that. That's not friendship. The chipmunk, she goes, well, it's just chirping at her. And Stella's staring. I said, if Stella could get that little 10-pound multi-poo that is Stella, if she could get her mouth on that thing, she'd kill it. And not because she's a bad thing. It's because that's her, for as much as she's this loving, sweet 10-pound, whatever, instinctually, that piece of her still
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah. Right.
Take it in her mouth and she'd shake it until she broke its neck.
Yeah. And that's what we, as the reader, that's the realistic part. And that's the part that I missed, and the part that Anna Maria missed. That chipmunk chirp squirrel thing could be chirping in a language and saying something like, "Geez, that's a dog over there. I'm
Or maybe it's an arrogant chipmunk going, screw you, you can't touch me. Come on. I mean, whatever it is.
I'm up here in this tree."
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
going to send my other chipmunks to bite your tail. I don't know. But, whatever it is, and I'm not saying, I know there are stories of animals crossing over and becoming friends. I'm not saying that couldn't happen. But the point is, we ignore the truth of our larger nature and things that we are hardwired for through thousands of years at our peril to think that life is nothing but puppy dogs and ponytails. It's just not. It's not all war and famine either, but it's
Yeah.
not devoid of those things.
Hmm.
It's all of it.
It is a continuum. Every place, step along the way.
Yep.
It's like I can have an intellectual knowledge of what you just said, but
Yeah. So,
I am
well,
puppy dogs.
yeah, well, and let me give you an example of that. That I mean, there's markers that show our genetics are impacted by our ancestors. That maybe we weren't in the Holocaust, but if our ancestors were, it has a physical effect on us. The trauma they went through, if if it was genetically passed on, there was childbirth or whatever involved, that gets passed on to us because we've seen this in elephants. Elephants that have had their tusks cut off over and that go on, they give birth to elephants without tusks.
Wow.
Isn't that devastating?
I
Because what they're saying is, survival speaking, much as these are incredibly helpful things for us in the wild and help us survive and root and live in the world, they put us in danger. So we're better off not having them. And the body sands that.
That is amazing in that example. Yeah.
Short period of time. That's within a generation. So
Yeah. Wow.
again, the reality and the effect. In fact, Indu Subramanian had an article about the effect of trauma on the expression of Parkinson's too. There's just a lot there. Things that are out there that again, neither here nor there for us. I think from a research standpoint, but from a storytelling standpoint, they're absolute and perfect for what we do, right? They help us tell the truth. And I'll give you the example right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut on this, come back for one more. I do need to go after this to talk about a success story. It's very important in our realm. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.